Amanda Stewart, and this is my podcast, Trade Secrets. And today I have, I should come up with another phrase for one of my favorite people. I should come up with a phrase that exponentially expands upon that to favorite by exponential. But anyway, this is Emmett Skyy, friend of mine, musician, man about town, hot motherfucker, whatever, all the above.
Thank you.
And he's
So
Southern
sweet.
too, which ingratiates him to me even more so. So it's pretty unscripted, Emmett. I start with one question, and it's where were you born?
I was born in this little town called Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
You're from Baton Rouge? You ain't
From Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
You ain't New Orleans?
Yeah. My mom was born in New Orleans, and so I have family all over Louisiana.
Nice.
But Baton Rouge is my birth.
All right.
birth town.
And I kind of get into the whole point of it is to figure out how we ended up here, which is, by the way, who could you ever explain that to? But when you were a kid, well, first of all, what did your mom and dad do for a living? How'd they make a living?
So my mom went to Southern University, which is a HBCU college, and studied social work, and then got a master's at LSU for social work. So she's
a giver.
She's a therapist.
Oh, we love her.
Yeah,
Oh, how perfect.
She deals with psychology, so she's a psychologist.
I was a psych major. That's awesome.
Yeah. She gets into the mind, into the heart,
Aw.
of everything. I think I adopted a little bit of that from
Well,
her.
you are definitely an easy person to talk to, and I can
Thank
see
you.
where you would help people who needed to talk to somebody.
Thank you.
So,
And my father,
yeah.
studied law at LSU.
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah, so I have
Fucking
these two.
smart motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. They both super smart educators, and my mom was always in the spiritual world too, because
Similar to my mom was similar like that.
yeah, we grew up in the church, and I know we probably get to that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, people have a misconception about the South and about people in general from the South, black, white, or all the above.
For sure.
My parents were extreme intellectuals. It
Yeah.
was deep conversation at the dinner table at my house.
Yeah, right on.
Like in third grade, I said I had just read The Hobbit, and I said to my dad, I think the Bible's a historical fantasy written with a bunch of different people contributing over eons. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah,
that
that's
makes
possible.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, he was like, that's
Exactly.
possible. They weren't not religious, but we didn't have to go to church after second or third grade. You got to pick.
Wow.
And go. But Sunday school is where all my friends were, so I like going to church. I was raised Episcopalian.
Oh,
Were you
there it
Baptist,
is.
Southern Baptist,
No, I grew up in this. You wouldn't know about this.
Pentecostal? What is
It's
it?
similar to Pentecostal, but
Okay.
it's not. It's called Kojic. It's called Church of God
Church.
in Christ.
I was going to say Church of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hold up. Church of God in Christ, which is different from Church of God.
Any speaking in tongues and shit
Oh,
like that?
everything.
Oh yeah, dude.
Slaying the devil. I mean,
Any
all
snakes?
of
No
that.
snakes?
Oh, no snakes. We didn't see snakes.
It's funny.
I don't think black people are snakes.
You know what I'm saying?
Not a good combination.
It's funny. Well, Charleston, where I'm from, is fucking snake central too. It's similar, very similar, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing is but the whole speaking in tongues thing was always and then when you get saved, how they smack you on the back
Oh
of the
yeah,
head.
smack you. Very similar. Very similar.
whack.
Extremely strict.
Yeah, you're gonna knock you. You can knock you anyway.
Extremely
but,
strict.
But interesting, all the different denominations of
Definitely.
religion in this world, both good and bad.
Yeah.
I definitely have faith. I'm definitely a believer in something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
But I don't subscribe to a specific
No,
religion.
I feel that too.
Yeah. I'm more like there's some force out there, interesting.
Definitely.
That creates order out of chaos.
Yeah.
So I'm getting off topic. But anyway, so that's cool. So you grow up in a house that supports, learning,
Definitely.
and discovering. And when did you, we had music in school when I was a kid. Did you have music in your school?
So yeah, that was the other side that was really powerful and and very developing for us. My mom's a singer.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
my grandparents were singers in the church.
Oh, yeah,
And they
dude.
had a group, and so they passed everything down to my mom, down to me and my siblings. I'm a twin to a girl.
Oh, that's right. Oh, to a girl.
To a girl, yeah. And then and I have two other brothers who are professional singers.
Opposite sex twins, they're always fraternal.
Fraternal.
Yeah, you can't be. You have to be if you're identical. You're same
She's
sex.
beautiful too.
Oh, I have
She's
no doubt. Well, you're
she-
good looking.
Oh, I mean, she stole all the looks. I just took all the height.
Oh, is she not tall?
She's 5'6".
Oh, that's
she's
crazy.
Like half my. I'm 6'6". She's 5'6".
That's cuckoo.
She's adorable.
I have no
Yeah,
doubt she's a stunner.
yeah.
And your brother's a handsome devil, too.
Yeah, you met my brother.
Ooh.
He's amazing.
Woof.
Yeah.
You're better looking, though. Oh, sorry, brother.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, man. She said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah, even though he's younger. The other one. Anyway, but so is that it? The 3 kids?
No, and then I have another brother. His name
okay.
is Eric. He's a singer, a professional entrepreneur.
Older, younger?
Younger.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
But we all in the same.
Where do you fall in the family? Older? Well, the twins.
Well, the twins are the oldest.
Okay.
And then we have my brother Ian, and then we have my brother Eric.
Oh,
But
nice.
we sang together since we were kids, since we were babies, singing a cappella, singing harmony.
You know, I have 3 brothers, and you have 1 sister with 3 brothers. I have the
that's
same, but I'm the
perfect.
baby only girl with the older 3 brothers.
But there's one girl, 3 boys.
Yeah,
It's the
dude.
same-
I'm telling you, makes you a stronger woman.
It
That's all I'm
is.
gonna say.
Yeah. We were very overprotective. You
Yeah.
know, we made sure she didn't get into any trouble.
Dude, I was the opposite. I was protecting my brothers. They're kooks, man. They were always doing silly stuff.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and also I was probably the most adventurous.
I can see that.
Yeah, because my mom was all worn out.
no fear. You had no fear.
My parents were, it's good or bad, but my parents were worn out by the time I came along. My mom was like, she had 4 kids under the age of 9.
Wow.
Your mom probably did too,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, you think about that. You think
Hey.
about your parents with 4 kids. Dude, I could barely take care of my cat and my
I
dog.
always wonder, like, how did they do it?
I mean, you have a beautiful, beautiful son as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so back
Thank
to the
you.
moms and the dads. And this is how it happens, right? You either grow up in a supportive environment and it nurtures it, or you grow up in an environment where your parents don't want you to play music at all and you still play music.
And you still play music. You still play music.
Because it's not, I don't think it's really a choice, you know?
It's spiritual. It's like something that's
you're compelled.
innately deep inside of your DNA.
Yeah, you have to-
You have to do it.
You have to
know?
do it. I agree. But I do think, and I want to give kudos to your mom and dad, I do think it's positive to support your children if they show an interest in music. I mean,
That's great advice.
Yeah, seriously, man. I mean, come on. But how bad music is the best. It's the great
It is.
uniter.
It really is.
How can it be bad for your kid to want to do something like that? So anyway, you grow up in Baton Rouge, right?
The whole family of singers, literally.
Literally
Like,
all
all my
singers.
cousins, all my uncles, my aunts.
Dude, do we ever get like the choir
I
together?
know, we're
at the
trying to
whole-
work that out, you know.
Now, is
Yeah.
Sky your real surname?
My surname is Spooner, like a spoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Sky is my nickname.
All right, so the Spooner family, do we ever get the Spooner choir
You
together?
know what? We trying to put it together.
Dude, you should
Yeah.
do like a family reunion and get the old
We-
ones.
we
and
used
the
to
young
always
ones.
we used to always sing together for all the NBA games in
Oh,
New Orleans.
man.
We would sing at weddings. We would sing all over. You know, it was
Dude,
fun.
that is crazy. You're all singing together.
Yes.
You're growing up, going to
Yes.
church, doing what you're told.
Yeah.
Dad's probably kind of strict because he's a lawyer.
Well, you know, he's off in his own world. You know, studying law. He's always been very tenacious and optimistic.
Did you have the kind of
Yeah.
dad? My dad was awesome. He was super quiet, super
Yeah.
gentle, and super awesome, but he was a quiet man. And my father survived Normandy, so he was like, he was old school. He's long gone. He died when I was 15. But he was the most gentle, kindest person, but he was so smart. So smart. And dude, he was always trying to make me do this is about Emmett, but I'm gonna tell this story. Because it's a
Aw.
great story.
That's sweet. That's
So
sweet.
his whole goal was he said that his goal as a parent and that a parent's job was to make me self-reliant, especially because I was a girl. And he was, he was like 44 when I was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were your parents young parents?
Here we are.
Oh, good
Yeah,
for that. Good,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's good, though. Then you got to have them around.
20s, you know.
Yeah, then you got to have him around. My father, I miss him. He died when I was so young. But when I was like 11, he says to my mom, he goes, Candace is going to go stay in the woods by herself for 3 days. My mom's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
She'll be fine.
It's going to be fun. So it's in October in South Carolina, which is it can be either warm or cold, and it rains a lot. I grew up on this island called James Island, which is like 10 feet above sea level, which is high ground. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
high
yeah.
ground is 10 feet
For sure.
above sea level, right? So we go onto this like hill above this river bank. I grew up on a river, big river. And so he takes me out there and he says, okay, only can have a book. You got to make your own food. You got to light a fire. You got to set your tent. You got to stay here. It was Friday afternoon. You got to stay here till Sunday. And I'm like, okay. So I'm out there. I snuck in an AM radio, battery-powered AM radio. WTMA was the station. You remember the station when you were a kid?
Yeah.
What was the
It was
call
the
letters
best.
of your station?
94.1
Yeah, there you go.
FM.
There you go. Oh, well, this is an AM station. Yeah. This
The
is like
FM was like,
that was a big deal, right? Where
Yeah.
you get long. And for those of you who don't know the difference, one of the main things about an FM radio station was you play a whole album. So it would be like long format, and the frequency is different, obviously.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that separated AM radio from FM radio. And when it first happened, when I was a little kid, it was like a big deal. Like, wow, we get to hear a whole record instead of
Right.
just like a single, you know. But anyway, so I
Miss
get out
those
there,
days.
and on the Friday, it's cool, you know. I set up the tent, and I got books. I was super bookish as a child. Hard to believe. But and I set up all my stuff, and I got food and everything. Friday night comes and goes. I'm cool. Saturday, I walk around. I'm like drawing pictures of like, you know, birds and shit around the riverbank. You know, I'm a terrible artist, by the way. And I'm like drawing and stuff. And Saturday night comes around. It starts to rain. And the same for you in Louisiana as it is in South Carolina and the East Coast in general is that sometimes it'll rain. And I mean, we call it chubby rain. This is not for the faint of heart rain. This makes LA rain look
cats and dogs.
look pussy.
Definitely.
This is like
Yeah.
that raindrop hits your windshield in a single drop, like it's like 6 inches, like
Yes.
splat.
Exactly.
You know, so it starts to really rain
Yeah.
Saturday. Like I make it all through Saturday night, you know, and I grew up hunting with my father, really just like birds and stuff like that, nothing big, but you learn early on to tell the difference between like a 20-pound animal walking across twigs and a 180-pound animal, you know, which we don't really have bears there. So there really is no 180-pound animal unless it's like a mountain lion or something, which we also don't have down in the lowlands. But, I mean, actually, I guess there are Carolina cougars.
Well, there were Carolina Cougars.
There are, and
That's
that was
true.
actually the name of my college. My college team was the Cougars, College of Charleston. But anyway, so I hear this noise. It's like 4 a.m. It's fucking pissing down rain. The rain's getting in my tent. I'm miserable. It's like getting cold. I'm fucking over this whole fucking adventure. I hear, I thought I told you no radio. It is my dad who has been camping probably not even 100 feet away the whole time,
Wow.
watching me. But he said, "Do you really think I'd leave you out here alone?" And I said,
That is hilarious.
yeah." And he said, "Candace, you know," he goes, "I just want you to be able to take care of yourself." So that was that whole lesson. So by the way, do that to your kids, but you know, don't leave them alone. Like
I'm sure that stuck with you.
Yeah. What stuck with me was the trust.
Yeah.
That's what stuck with me. What stuck with me was that he believed in me enough that he didn't think I was a dumbass.
Right.
You know, if you want your kids to have good self-esteem, don't criticize. Praise your children.
Yeah, I have to.
You know, watch out how you reprimand your children, because if you don't praise your children, they have bad self-esteem. I see a whole
That's very
generation
true.
of this happening, by the way.
Yeah, and-
People with low self-esteem.
Well, it's true. I mean, speaking of my parents, they were always very encouraging.
Yeah, dude.
About the arts and about whatever we wanted to do.
Your
And
parents can be
they're-
falsely so, right? Like convince you you're a genius, and then you stumble
Yeah,
and you find
and-
out you're not really a genius.
Sometimes it's a gift and a curse.
Right.
You know. I mean,
But you're obviously a genius. But
Oh, that's very sweet.
you should take your glasses off so they can see your beautiful
All right.
eyes.
All right.
Yeah, because I know it's
you
cool.
Know what? I will only do it for you.
Okay, there we go. Just for a minute. Look at them eyes. Damn. All right, back on, ladies. Glasses back on, because we don't want y'all to like get heart palpitations
Yes,
or
it's
nothing.
going to be too much. It's gonna be too much. Too much.
So I love this. So all through elementary school, there, you know, you've got this. What I think it sounds like an incredibly supportive family and a really good group. You know, really good home life. You know, it makes such a difference, man. Such a difference in how
It
you turn
does.
out in this world and how you see the world.
But you know, you don't realize it until you look back in retrospect.
I agree.
When I started to travel, and speaking of being independent, you know, we were very, I would say, you know, as a kid, was very coddled and very spoiled. We were very close knit, and so we didn't really get to see out of our own little world. You know.
Yeah.
And but we had each other.
Yeah.
My twin, my brothers, we sang, and we had church. Church was like, if I can only if
The fellowship is amazing.
Yeah, the fellowship. It was the only thing I can remember of my past was church. I was in the church all the time singing. That's all I can remember.
Well, singing
Playing
of
sports and that.
the glory of God.
Yeah,
Not a bad
exactly.
thing. It's a
yeah.
good thing.
It was good, and it really taught us how to like dig deep within our soul,
Spiritually, yeah.
spiritually into the heart, and like how to express ourselves in any kind of way, whether we're speaking or whether we're singing or writing, and that's kind of what kind of pushed me
I
on the
mean,
path of music.
I think too. Your parents probably, hopefully, I think they were probably like my parents too. Even though they were in the South, my parents were not bigoted at all. My parents were the opposite. My parents were, we were, we didn't need. That wasn't even a concept that we thought of.
Right.
Was any difference between black or white or anything like. My high school was like 70% black because I grew up on a sea island, and the people on that island, they'd been there for 300 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was deep, and sometimes the South gets a bad rap. I don't think people really realize how many open-minded, not bigoted, not racist people
That's
live
true.
in the world. I
That's
mean,
true.
I definitely hope it will always be a small minority and will eventually not exist ever for that type of ignorance. But yeah, man, it was all love.
But it's the same too. I mean, I went to all white school.
Oh, that's trippy.
yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
trippy?
Yeah, it was 70% white.
Oh, that's trippy.
I think
Yeah.
you know what it is too. It's the contrast of like seeing both worlds. Like you
Yeah.
can be in the same city, right, same state,
Yep.
two different cultures: white church, white sports, and then you got black
Well,
church, black sports.
And people do segregate on their own in
Yeah.
neighborhoods, not
Yeah, yeah.
not through any type of forced anything, but
It's
people.
just natural.
Yeah,
Whatever
people
you're
want to
comfortable
be
with.
like with their other.
Yeah, with
like.
the other. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's not a. I mean, it just kind of happens, you know. And
Yeah.
these are places that don't have a 20, 30 million population.
Yeah.
You know, my hometown now, Charleston's a big city. It's about 1 million something, maybe more now,
Yeah,
because
it's becoming
everybody's
more of a
discovered it.
it's more of a melting pot. now.
Yeah. And but I remember when the Vietnamese kids came over in the mid '70s after Vietnam, and that we, you know, one thing we didn't have a lot of Jewish kids. I mean, there's a large Jewish population in Charleston, but there wasn't a big Jewish population in our school. But again, not a big deal. It
Yeah.
was not ever a thing, never a thing. And if I had said something like that or something ignorant like that, ooh, that would not have gone over with my parents.
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
never have tolerated
Same.
that kind of stupidity or unkindness.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so we're lucky. We're
Yeah,
lucky.
we are definitely fortunate because
There are people that did not have that
yeah,
grace.
yeah, they didn't
you
have
know?
that grace, and I think a little bit of the some of the mercy for me.
Yeah.
I have mercy for some people because they just
They
don't
didn't
know.
know.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
The
I
parents taught
agree.
them that. I think later on in life they begin to discover like, what was that? My parents told me like that was so silly. Like, why?
That's so stupid,
Why did
yeah.
I adopt this belief? But
Yeah. Well,
It's-
hopefully people are smart enough to grow.
Yeah.
And again, this does not have to be a focus, but when my parents moved to Virginia Beach, we still had our house in Charleston, but my dad was always stationed. He worked for Lockheed, and he was always stationed where there was a Navy base because he built the safety systems for nuclear weapons on nuclear submarines. I mean, this guy's a fucking genius.
That's
like the
impressive.
briefcase with the handcuffs kind of shit, like crazy shit, like
that is
crazy
impressive.
shit, right? Well, but I mean, they were just smart. But what I did notice when I moved to Virginia Beach was there were a bunch of white kids. I mean, a bunch of black kids who didn't like white kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was weird because I'd never seen that before. Like
Right,
I didn't
because
even
they
know.
also taught that too.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
were taught that, and I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I had this girl. I'm tall. I was always pretty tall and skinny, and I sucked at like basketball and shit. I was good at certain sports, and I know you're an athlete too. What was your sport? Obviously basketball.
It was
Come
basketball.
the fuck on. You're 6'6".
I was in love with basketball. I was like, that's kind of my thing. A lot of people don't know.
Dude,
know
I
that.
could see you be a natural.
You know, I was a natural. I always was in sports since a little boy, but music took me away from it. You know, it broke my heart when I knew I couldn't make it to the NBA. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to the NBA.
Dude, and you said you were singing at the NBA games?
Yeah, I was singing at the NBA games in the back of my head. I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be playing sports, you know. But I think it was a great development for me to understand teamwork and that
Yep.
type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And to, be physically in shape, you know. Not
Yeah.
that I am in shape.
No, you're fantastic. You kidding? Wow. Anyway, but yeah, I had this one girl in Virginia Beach, and she was a big old black girl. She was like 6'1" or something, and she just liked me. So she like would protect me against people
That's
that were
sweet.
trying to fuck with me. Like she walked me home from school and stuff.
Oh,
She was
that's-
awesome.
That's sweet.
She was so awesome. She was so awesome. I
Do you remember
what
her name?
She had a like Claretta, maybe Claretta. Anyway, if you're out there and you ever listen to this, thank you for keeping
love that.
not letting my
I love
skinny
it.
white ass get beat up.
My God.
But anyway, enough of this. So let's get him out of elementary school, and let's get you into high school. So high school, it's sports.
Yeah,
Right?
high school sports was my.
When did
everything.
you? Oh fuck, we skipped over. You got music in the family, but band in school. Did you play an
You
instrument?
know, that's interesting because
Chorus?
You know what? No, it was always singing. I was in chorus. Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't cool. You know, it wasn't.
Oh no, it's super uncool.
Yeah, it was uncool. It wasn't like cool to be in the choir. You know, it's
It's
like
cool to be in band either. By the way, Keith,
right,
who's recording this, who's a band nerd.
Right. It was sort of kind of cooler to be in the band versus being in the chorus.
Really? That's
Yeah, because
that's
it's
weird.
almost like, you know, the chorus is sort of like a glee club, you know?
Oh right.
You know, like, oh, look at them, they're singing, you know, versus.
Do kids
like,
have Glee Club now? Do y'all even know what that is?
I don't know what I don't know if they have a glee club, but you know, I
Glee
guess
Club
it was,
is the thing at the games that, besides
Yeah.
the cheerleaders, that roots on the team and roots on the school. You got the Glee Club.
Yeah, you got the glee
Full of
club,
glee.
and then you got the chorus singers, you know. So, you know, I dipped and dabbed in high school, but I kind of played defense, you know. So I would get in the band,
Because
but
sports
I
gets
wasn't.
girls.
Yeah, sports, yeah, it gets girls. Yeah, I was trying to dibble and dab in everything, but you know, mainly throughout my high school experience, I was, as soon as my parents would come pick me up, we go to church. I literally lived in church. We were like,
They come and pick you up?
yeah, they come pick us up from school. You know,
Dude, we walked to school.
oh, wow.
Dude, and yeah, the whole like walk to school in the snow. It just snowed in South Carolina, and New Orleans.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
8 inches of snow or something crazy.
For sure, yeah, just recently.
It's called
Yeah.
climate change, okay? Places
It's
that are warm
definitely
are getting
climate
colder,
change.
and places that
It's
are cold are
definitely.
getting warmer. But we didn't, you know, I look back now and think about that freedom of not being sort of helicoptered, no video surveillance, stuff like that. I got away with murder, too. I did all kinds of bad things. But we walked to school, and you know, I look back now and I think, like, man, that was like a mile, 2 miles to walk to school, and like, who knows what could have happened? You know,
Anything coulda
nowadays
happened.
you wouldn't let a kid walk 2 miles to school.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's especially.
Sometimes my brothers were with me, but
Yeah,
then they were
yeah.
older, so they, you know, sometimes that was me.
Well, you know what? We did catch the school bus sometime.
Yeah, I caught the bus sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Did you have like in your neighborhood? Maybe this is me. But did you have like a haunted house? Like we had a haunted house in our neighborhood. Like it was just an abandoned house, but the stories that and it was old. It was an old
Yeah.
house, and the stories that we created about this house, it was like, you know, it was haunted. All this crap. Ghost stories are a big thing in the
You
South.
know what? We
by
used
the
to
way.
run from dogs. That's what used to happen.
Well, I mean,
Me and my brothers, we would walk down the street, and all
is
of a
that a
sudden,
stereotype that dogs chase black people?
Yes,
Come on.
yeah. In the black neighborhood, they're loose.
That makes no sense.
Anyone is black will understand this. Like if you live in the hood, right? And we didn't really live in the hood,
Right.
but if you lived in a neighborhood,
Yeah.
in a black neighborhood, you just most likely will see a pit bull or something just loose. And you're like, oh shit. And you just take off running. I remember like literally like vertically jumping over a gate.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Well,
running
it's
from
6'6", that wasn't too hard.
Yeah, running from I mean, I was at the time not 6'6", but I was like, you know, pretty tall for a kid. But
How
yeah.
old are you?
oh, remember
I
what
never
I
asked.
told you 30?
Little baby. Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah,
30.
yeah,
He's 30.
in the
31.
30s.
Yeah, 31. 31.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. 31.
Yeah, 31. 31.
31.
Yeah, you were like I said, I was really lucky because I grew up in the 60s and the early 70s, and you didn't have like video surveillance and stuff like that. I mean, you came home from school and did your chores or whatever,
Right.
but there was, you know, I mean, back then, and you probably had this too, the neighbors would rat you out.
For sure.
Like the next door neighbor, if I did something messed up,
Oh,
and
they
Mrs.
would-
O'Shazy, my next door neighbor, if she saw it, my mom would. That was instant.
Oh yeah, because they would have the home
Everybody's
number.
watching everybody.
Right, exactly.
All the other parents are watching the other kids. Everybody's got their eye on everything.
For
you know what I'm
sure.
saying? But there was still lots of stuff that you could, and I think it's important, man. I think it's important
Yeah.
for kids to go outside, you know, crawl through the drain pipe, walk on the
You're
rocks.
taking me back.
You know, go through the woods.
Yeah,
you know,
we used
play
to crawl under the
outside.
houses. We used to like catch
Dude.
spiders and
Yeah, tadpoles, all kinds of
Tadpoles,
stuff.
everything.
Yeah, man, I think
Yeah.
it's important. one year I had this great idea where I was going to catch and sell bullfrogs. So my father had made speaker cabinets for my brothers. Always had a band. My brothers are all musicians, and he made speaker cabinets. And so the round pieces of wood that he cut out for the holes for the speakers, I
Yeah.
took those 2 pieces of wood and I got chicken wire and I made this round rolling cage, and I went out and I caught all these big old. Yes, we do eat frog legs. And I caught these big old frogs, and I was going to sell these big old frogs, but I mean, I am so sorry, frogs, because I rolled this cage like on the ground, these poor frogs like
Oh,
tossing
my
around in
God.
this fucking thing. They lived. Okay.
All right.
But no one bought the frogs. I let the frogs go. But yeah, we always played with things like that. You know, you always had birds and I mean, it was just a lot of
Yeah.
alligators where I'm from.
Yeah.
Lot of alligators.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and where you're from as well. And
Yeah.
this is a fact. If you do not know this, alligators do not live in salt water. They only live in fresh water and in creeks and marshes.
There you go.
You know, so if you're worried about an alligator on land is unlikely to mess with you unless you hit it in the head. But they're like toads, back to the toads. They sleep in the sun and they don't really mess with you. In the water, it's a different story. You do not want to be in the water bleeding with an alligator. But again, an alligator's not like a crocodile. Alligator can't live in salt water. And a lot of times in South Carolina, when we have hurricanes or you have hurricanes down by the Gulf where you are, a lot of alligators will get washed out to sea and they'll die because they cannot be in salt water. They're not a saltwater animal. There you go.
There you
But
go.
yeah, alligators. So alligators would be on my lawn growing up, like on the freaking grass.
That is so wild.
It's so crazy, right? There's a
Yeah.
picture of me, like I'm 5 maybe, in like an Easter dress, and it's me and my brother nearest me, David. He's 5 years older. And there's an alligator in the photograph. And he's like, oh my God, did our mom put us in harm's way? And I'm like, no, I think it was just chilling. It was just hanging out.
Sunbathing.
Yeah, literally sunbathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went back to Charleston a couple of years ago. I was with Brian, and we went to the Trader Joe's, and there's one in Mount Pleasant. And we pull into the parking lot, and there's a big alligator. I mean, he was big. He was like 10 feet. He was a big boy. And he was laying across 2 parking spaces. And I parked relatively close by, and we go to get out of the rental car, and he goes, is he going to like bite the tires? I go, no. He goes, is he going to mess with us? And I said, no. And he goes, well, can we park on the other side of the lot? And I go, there's no spaces. And he goes, it's going to be all right. I go, it's totally going to be all right. He's not even going to, I said, he probably won't even move.
See?
You know, and he didn't.
You have a connection with alligators.
I think it's kind of my spirit animal, actually. I love alligators. I'll tell you about that later. But, so yes, you grow up
I
in
love that.
this rural environment, but you still
Yeah.
got a pretty big city with some culture like Baton Rouge and then New Orleans, where you have a lot of culture. You have a lot of live music. You have a lot of theater.
So much culture.
Dude, and it's great food.
Right, but it's interesting because once you move away, you don't realize how special and amazing it is.
Dude,
right?
I agree with you 100%.
Then all of a sudden, you're away from home, and then you look back and you're like,
Home is rad.
Home is rad. Home is amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
But even like going to Paris or traveling around
Definitely.
Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, the United States isn't very old, but I would venture to guess that the East Coast and the Southeast Coast are the most like Europe because it's the oldest part of our country.
Yes.
So architecturally, you've got all the French great wrought iron work in New Orleans and all the beautiful
The
cobblestone
cobblestones.
streets. Yeah,
It's
Charleston.
incredible.
Charleston's like the British version. New Orleans is like the French version, and Charleston's like the British version.
Yeah.
But I think that history is really, I think it's really important. I think
It
people,
really is.
if you live in the United States, get in a car and drive around this country and check out the vast differences between the geography and
Absolutely.
states and all the history of this country.
It's really remarkable.
Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
so cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I was saying the other day, I've never been to Maine. So
I've never been to Maine.
and I've never been to Alaska.
Haven't been to Alaska.
So I've been to most other states. My parents, did your parents throw y'all in the car and drive all around?
You know what? We go all around. Like we would go to Houston, Texas.
Right. Beaumont.
Yeah, Beaumont, Texas.
Eastern
Because
Texas.
it was so close, right?
Yeah.
Biloxi, Mississippi. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd move around. But my father, he traveled a lot before, he had.
So he's
he
probably
had us.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, even now, he's always very taboo about, don't go to Mexico. The
It's
cartel
dangerous.
is dangerous.
It is kind of dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully that'll change.
He has a whole perspective on like
Yeah,
going into
fearfulness.
going into other countries
Yeah.
right now.
My husband's kind of like that. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to go to Istanbul, and he's like, "We're not going to Turkey right now." And I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "Yeah, no, not right now.
I mean, you
If not now, when?"
I mean, you just don't. You never know these
You just
days.
go. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's well.
But also too, you can't live in fear. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think being aware, social awareness is key,
yeah,
but you can't let it stop you. The
For
fear
sure.
can't stop you. Now I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go to the Ukraine right now. God
Yeah.
bless the Ukrainian people, but I'm
It's-
not going to go to
yeah,
Ukraine.
they're going
right
through
now.
a lot right
They
now.
are going through a lot. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go there right now, but I'd love to go to Prague. I've never been there. That looks
I
amazing.
have friends there, a musician.
Dude,
friends
that's
there.
amazing. Have you
Yeah.
been there?
No, I haven't.
It's
I haven't.
amazing.
I used to
Anyway.
live in London. I lived in
Dude,
London.
what a great town.
was-
Speaking of architecture that's very, very old and very modern, and I've never been to Dubai or any place like that, but London to me was the poster child
It is.
for ancient architecture
For sure.
and modern architecture. Like you be by an ancient church and then see some crazy glass cube.
And you can feel it too. You just feel that old nostalgia, feeling of the old days.
Paris is like that too.
Yeah, Paris is the same way.
I love Paris.
Yeah, I do too.
I like Italy too.
Yeah.
I've never been to Spain. I haven't been to
I
Germany.
haven't been to Italy.
Italy's amazing.
And I was right there and I didn't go.
Keith, you could add in this. My engineer who's recording this, he always teases me because I went to Italy one time for like 10 days. He always jokes because I talk about it. He's like, "Oh, you went to Italy?" Makes fun of me. But yeah, it's important. We're talking about be supportive for your kids, nurture your kids, expose them to art and culture, and encourage them to travel. Encourage them. There's a great big world out there.
Encourage them to do music.
Encourage them to learn, and encourage them to learn about music from different cultures. Now, okay,
Definitely.
so
Yeah.
I digress. So high school. Now, you're still kind of in sports as well, you said. Now, was there ever a thought of like getting a scholarship to college for
Definitely.
sports?
No, I was very serious about playing ball. Like we call it hoop dreams. Like,
Yeah.
once you see Michael Jordan,
Oh, yeah. We
he-
can all do it.
It's like watching him fly, you know what I mean? It's
Dude,
like
they
maybe
levitate.
Yeah, literally like he's levitating, live on TV.
4
and we're
feet
like,
off the
and we're
ground.
like, oh my God, I want to do that. And I think every kid in the country, in the world, wanted to be Michael Jordan.
Yep.
So I, of course, that hoop dream kind of like dwindled away, after a while. But because music and the arts.
What about college? Were you
pulled me
encouraged to
away.
go to college?
I went to college.
Yeah.
I went for 2 years and decided this is not for me.
Yep.
And went on my.
Did you go to LSU? Where'd you go?
I went to Southern University.
Oh,
That's
nice.
the same college my mom
Your
went
mom
to
went to.
for her early grads. But for her early schooling.
Yeah.
I studied. You wouldn't even guess.
Engineering.
Poli-sci.
Poli-sci. Okay.
Yeah.
Political science.
Yeah, political science.
Yeah, dude.
I was trying to follow him in my father's
Oh,
footsteps and
interesting.
go into law.
Oh, cool.
Because I always had a love for law and
Government.
politics and government. I
Yeah.
always kind of had, always had a love for history. I
Yeah,
always loved
absolutely. I think that's really the root
That's
of
really
it.
that's the root of it.
Yeah.
That I always wanted to like learn the stories and like understand the mindset of government.
Yeah.
And how things are governed and like social studies and that type of thing.
Yeah. Did you have, when
That-
we were little, we had like civics, and civics was very specifically like Charleston history and South Carolina history. And then you get, and contrary to popular belief, they do not, by the way, they do not gloss over the Civil War when you grow up in the South and you study it in school. They're pretty much tell you the hard reality about the Civil War. The first shot was fired on the island that I grew up on. Yeah, from a place called Fort Johnson. I know. Yeah, it was a sad state of affairs, to be sure.
And it is sad, right?
Yeah,
And it's
division in the country,
There's
for
a lot
sure.
of trauma there,
Oh my God,
but I love hearing the stories. I mean,
dude,
even-
the history's so amazing.
it's so amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that doesn't surprise me much about the poli-sci degree because I think that's super interesting as well. And sociology, things like that. I changed my major a bunch. I kept changing my major. I went for 7 years and never graduated. How embarrassing. Because I kept changing my major. I was a linguistics major in the beginning. And then when I started taking Chinese, I was like, holy crap. I failed Chinese miserably. And I was like, I don't think I could do this. Because I wanted to be like a translator, like at the UN or something. Like that was my,
Imagine if you would have stayed in it.
how crazy would that be, right?
Yeah.
And then I changed it to geology because I wanted to be a diamond cutter. I wanted to cut gems, and I did really well, and I got pretty far. But my teacher told me, he's like, Candace, I hate to tell you, because I tried to get this apprenticeship with like Harry Winston, and they were like, Candace, I hate to tell you this, but you're probably not going to get this. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, you're a woman, and you're not Israeli. And I was like, oh, is that a thing?
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, that's a real thing. I mean, I'm sure it's changed. I'm sure it's open to everyone now. But for quite a long time, it was very much a specific thing for diamonds and for diamond cutters. Anyway,
That's
so
interesting. Yeah,
So then I
very
changed to
interesting.
psychology. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
poli sci, what?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I started out in pre-med actually first.
Wow.
Because I've always loved the medical field as well.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be a veterinarian.
Oh, what a great
I love
calling.
animals.
Me too.
I wanted to just be around rabbits. I used to literally.
I had rabbits.
You have rabbits now?
No, I had rabbits as a child.
We had
Once you have
rabbits.
one rabbit, you have a lot.
Well, I mean, we had rabbits, gerbils, parakeets. We had
Yeah.
everything. Our parents would buy us everything. Dogs.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have cats.
We're both.
Although I
dogs
love
and
cats now.
Yeah, we're both.
But I always wanted to be in that field. And then I said, oh, no, I'm just going to follow my father. And
Right.
so I kind of
Oh, yeah, it's
pivoted
interesting.
to-
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah.
I mean, God bless all the vets in the world. And God bless everybody who takes care of animals. I'm a huge advocate for animal rights and animals. I love animals.
Yes.
And if you don't like animals, I don't really trust you. I mean, you cannot
Same.
have a pet because you don't want
Well,
the hassle of a pet. But if you don't like
Yeah,
animals,
Like I don't have a pet now.
yeah, it's fine. You
Yeah,
travel.
it's fine.
You travel.
I travel too much.
Yeah, but to not like
But
animals.
it's like don't get a pet. I would say don't get a pet if you can't take care of it.
Absolutely. And don't get a big dog in an apartment.
For sure.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not kind.
Yeah, I think that's kind of. I mean, I don't want to.
Selfish.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't say it.
So all you selfish people out there,
all the people out there with big dogs in their
get a little
apartments,
dog.
they're gonna
Little
come
dogs need
after
love
me
too.
in the comments.
Yeah. Anyway, so poli sci, and then now when you were pursuing this in college, we know you were a singer. When did you pick up guitar?
That's a good question.
Do you remember when you started playing?
Yeah, I do remember vividly. I started playing like a little bit after college.
Okay. That's kind of late for guitar.
It is late. It's late for guitar, but I've always been around it since I was a kid. I actually started playing piano first.
Yeah.
Just
Piano in the house?
Just
Piano
didn't
at
have a
church?
piano in the house, but a piano in the church.
Yeah.
You know.
We had a
And
piano.
my mom introduced my twin and I to the piano when we were babies.
Nice.
We would bang on the piano in front of the whole church. Like, we'd have like a talent show, and then she would bring us up. And,
Dude, I love your parents. What's your
they're-
mom's first name?
My mom's first name is Cheryl.
And dad?
Emmett.
Well,
Emmett
are you Emmett
and
Jr.?
Emmett and Cheryl.
Are you
yeah.
a junior?
Yeah, I'm the second. Yeah.
Oh, second.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, how does it go? Is
It's
he
either-
a junior?
No, either
Either or.
Yeah, either or. You can be a junior, or you can. I mean, technically, I am a junior, but junior.
You can choose junior
You
or
can
second.
choose. Yeah, Roman numeral 2 feels a bit more chic.
I like it. It's more classy.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So piano.
Yeah, so piano, I've always been attracted to the piano because the piano, of course, once you learn it, you can learn anything,
Yeah.
any other instrument, right?
Yeah.
And so I started writing on piano, and then my brother had a guitar. He started first. I was like, he looks so cool. I was like, the piano is like, the piano.
Hard to drag a piano around a gig still.
Exactly. The piano disciplines you, And of course, I didn't have any discipline. I'm just this wild child. And I took his old guitar and taught myself how to play.
Oh, good for you.
And from there, it just went from like learning from other very talented guitar players in the town would teach me things. I would pick up certain things.
Were there places to
And-
gig? Were there places to play in your town?
It would just be at church.
Oh,
you know?
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to church and you would see like, I don't know, you remember that kind of era when like you start to see more guitar,
Yeah, like folky, like
folky singer, like worship music.
we had church too,
Yeah.
where we had like Episcopal youth group. It was called when you're like a teenager, and you'd meet. You'd meet at night. You'd meet in the evening.
Yeah, yeah.
At church
Little
with
groups.
with the groups. Yeah, yeah. And there was always like a not a teacher or a counselor, but there'd be an older adult who would be like the musician who would play and he'd sing along.
Exactly. We had a lot of that. And
Yeah,
a
I
lot
love
of the
that.
kids play guitar. And a really good friend of mine, his name is Jason Perry. He loved that. I gave him a shout out.
All right, Jason Perry.
Jason Perry, he used to play the guitar at home. Not really serious about it, but he was pretty good. And I was like, dude, you actually really good. And he was like, I'll show you some things.
Teach you some
And
chords.
so I would go over to his place, and I'll bring my guitar, my little beat up guitar. And I remember it was like an old Hohner,
yeah.
acoustic. And he would show
I
me
think
how
of
to tune
Hohner
it.
for harmonicas. I don't think of Hohner for
Yeah, it
guitars.
was. I believe it was a Hohner acoustic guitar. I don't know if those things are even make those anymore.
Curious.
But I would go over into his place, and we would just jam, and I would learn different chords and stuff like that. And that was kind of the birth of learning how to play guitar.
I love it. Well, you're a wonderful singer and you're a wonderful guitar player and you're a great
Thank you.
songwriter.
Thank you so much.
I
Thank
think
you.
the songwriting comes from the spiritual and the soul and
Yes.
all those things,
Yes.
all those good things. And we're going to let Emmett play in a minute. But so,
Both of my parents are writers. They're book writers. My mom's an author. My dad is a writer, and he writes more law and things about litigation and
Oh, wow.
his perspective. Like he wrote this book years ago, never put it out. It was called Reprogramming the Matrix.
oh my
Really
God.
just talking about like the Matrix, the world, and reprogramming it. And he wrote a whole book about it. And he would like,
Dude, I love this. He's like a metaphysical cat.
He really is. He's very he worked in the Pentagon. He was in the
Wow.
Army. A very astute man. And and
Make it a
he-
better place.
for sure. And so I get a lot of that from him. And his dad was a farmer. And I mean, we can go deep. We
Yeah.
can go really deep. My grandfather, Reese Spooner, dad was a slave.
Oh,
So my
wow.
great-
That's not that far back.
My great grandfather was a slave.
Wow.
So even just
Did he gain his freedom, your great grandfather? Well, he must have if he had
what,
family.
we're still doing study on it.
That's
I believe he
interesting.
was. You know what? And he was actually, and
Or
this
maybe
is
became like a sharecropper after he was
probably
free.
so
maybe.
because it was actually we got this part of the information I got was he was not in the field. He was in the house. He was.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he was like
was-
a house, like a butler or something like that.
Yes.
Dude, wow, crazy.
I know it's deep. I know, and he really,
Crazy.
and I love talking about it. It's not sensitive for me because I love to get the information because
Yeah,
you find
wanna-
freedom in that, right?
You learn
Yeah,
from, well, ideally,
yeah.
we learn
it
from
happened.
history.
It's American history.
it is American history. It's
And-
it's funny. I said to someone the other day, I said, it is a stain on the history of this country that slavery existed, but slavery still exists all
Yeah,
over this
all
world,
over the world.
unfortunately. And my thought and my comment was, I'm curious to see if you agree, it would have happened if they had settled California, the West Coast, instead of the East Coast. It would have happened here too.
It would have happened
And there
there.
were slaves here.
For sure.
Indians had slaves of other Indians.
Absolutely.
And it's an unfortunate trait of humanity
Yeah.
that someone would subjugate another human. And I said, I was always getting in trouble in school. I asked my third grade teacher, I said, third grade was a big year for me, apparently. The
Yeah.
Bible,
Right.
But I asked my third grade teacher, I said, well, I don't understand. I said, if a slave was the equivalent of $100,000 to buy one, I said, why didn't they just pay them the minimum wage at the time and get them to work on the plantation? Because it would have been way cheaper.
Evil.
You hear what I'm saying though? And she said, well, there was the middleman, there was the slave trader, and I said, but if the slaves had been able to communicate with the English or with the Americans, or whatever, and said, hey, yes, I want to leave Africa and I will come and work in your country
Yeah.
if you pay me minimum wage and give me a place to live. It would have been so much cheaper for all concerned.
Yeah, for
I'm serious.
sure. Yeah.
I'm serious. It's just nuts. So
Yeah.
the bad part is the middleman. That's
For
the
sure,
bad guy.
for sure.
That's
but
the bad guy.
But I think all of it, I do agree with you. I think there's so many other ways that could have
Oh
gone.
my God. Yeah,
When
it's.
about it, but I think it's all spiritual.
I
It's,
agree. I agree,
yeah,
and that's a bad. That's a bad, bad part of human nature. I cannot even
yeah.
comprehend
It's
such
pretty
a thing.
disgusting.
It's
It's so
disgusting.
disgusting.
It's,
Yeah.
it's disgusting for
But
sure.
what I love about us talking about this,
It's
the
history.
subject is history, and
Yeah.
we learn from each other,
Yeah.
and we get all these different perspectives and insights on like what you were taught, what we were taught.
Dude, from the Bible, when you're little, you got the Egyptians, enslaving people to build the pyramids.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean? And giving them like basically like a piece of bread to work all day. Anyway, subjugating
It's
other
hard.
humans
It's
for
hard.
your own gain
No.
is a
no.
no-go.
But when we talk about the South, a lot of that's kind of like the elephant in the room.
It is the
like,
elephant in the room.
Slavery. We talk about racism and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But I love talking about it because I think you have to talk about it.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And I think if people just sort of act like it never happened, then nobody learns and starts repeating shit.
For
So
sure.
yeah, you got to learn.
For sure.
And what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different
For sure.
result.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's what we do with war, but that's a deeper conversation for a deeper time.
Right. But
We're getting deep over here, me and Emmett.
no, I love it. I love getting deep because
Yeah.
with my family, like with all that been said, my mom and my father, they brought so much love in the
Yeah.
home. We had so much love to where
Yeah.
yes, we feel this happened to our ancestors.
Yeah.
And we still feel it, and we honor our ancestors. But my parents really instilled loving humanity,
Kindness, humanity.
humanity,
Yeah.
loving people.
Yeah.
And
And people that are different from you.
yeah, and people who are different from
Yeah.
you. You know?
We're all humans. I was thinking the other day, you know how that movie Independence Day?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
dude, that's what we need on this earth.
We
If
do.
if the aliens are coming down, all of a sudden, all the differences between all of us
They're
would go
coming.
away.
They're coming.
They probably are. They've probably been here. They're probably walking around. But it would be so good to see everybody from different cultures and different walks of life to
All
realize.
these different music, different
Yeah, we're
food.
human beings on this planet, which, by the way, we're not really taking good care of it. And we're human beings on this planet. And if we had to, now I don't want there to be war with the aliens, but it would just be interesting to see how we would unite as human beings, as opposed to being I'm Indian or I'm South American or I'm black. or I'm
You should
white.
write a book about that.
Yeah. Well, I won't get too deep into this, but I love South Carolina. I love where I come from. I like it because I think it's a beautiful place. And I love New Orleans. I love Louisiana, where you're from. Again, it's got a lot of history, a lot of culture. It's got great food. So I bought some books recently because I was curious about what the history was prior to the Europeans coming. And it has been so surprising what I have
wow,
read
really?
about the Indian tribes that lived both where you're from and where I'm from, and all the different people that came to the country, but long before the Spanish came and before the French came. Dude, it's said that the Norsemen, the Vikings,
Yeah.
came to the coast of South Carolina in the year 1000. Like Eric the Red shit.
Yeah.
Like Norsemen. And that they intermingled with the Native Americans, which were a lot of Indian names where Emmett and I are from, of towns and things like that. Like the Wasatachie are from Louisiana. I'm the Yamasee and the Siwi and all these Indian names. But they had all these blue-eyed blonde Indians from with the Norse people.
My
Freaking. I had no clue.
My people are Cherokee.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
I was gonna say you got Native American in you for sure.
Definitely.
And interesting things about the Cherokee is that the women in the Cherokee culture held equal status with the men. And in a lot of Indian cultures, there was not chauvinism and misogyny. In a lot of Indian cultures, they were matrilineal, which meant you trace your ancestry through your mother's line. And they would get married, and then when they got divorced, the woman would just put the man's stuff outside the teepee, like, see ya. It was crazy. I was just reading about all this. It was crazy cool. But again, we think that all these things have existed, and they should not continue to exist.
Right.
But this equality between the sexes was very common in ancient cultures. Very common. You know, the Cherokee women were war women. They could be warriors. You know, they had high place in the female chiefs. They could be head of the council. Very interesting. Very, very interesting, the Native American and the indigenous people.
So drawn to that.
Dude, but how about the Norsemen? I never knew that, dude. I mean, it makes sense.
You got to hit me to this.
I'll get you this book.
Yeah.
But it makes, I don't know if they would have made their way around to the Gulf of Mexico or to where you were from, but it makes sense that they would have hit our coast and hit, you know, like where, you know, Canada is or Nova Scotia or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't know they went that far south. I didn't know they made it down
you
to
know,
like South Carolina and
slaves
Florida.
also came through Nova Scotia. You know,
I know that's crazy.
Yeah,
through
into
Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't really get
yeah.
it. And then, of course, to my ancestors, and I'm trying to find out because my maiden name is Smith, and it's really hard to find out because Smith is such a common name, and it's hard to get information. And usually, your ancestral information in this country is based on your dad because they have more records, military records and employment records and things like that. But I'm going to try to search through my mom. My middle name is Royster, and her middle name was Roundtree, Rountree. And where I'm from, my mom's from North Carolina, and there was a lot of blacks with our same name and a lot of freed slaves that had the same family name. And there's a Royster Almanac because that family business was fertilizer. And it still exists in North Carolina, near like Raleigh. But I'm from South Carolina, which, by the way, South Carolina and North Carolina are different as organ and California. Okay,
yeah.
So you know,
My best friend Fanatic, have you met Fanatic before? He's from North Carolina. He's from Greensboro.
I mean, different and beautiful in their own ways, but they're different.
Yeah, it's different.
It's very different. But yeah, I just think it's super interesting. And my relatives are from Wales, so my grands and my great grands on both sides were coincidentally Welsh and Scott, but Welsh, and I've never been to Wales, but I'm going to try to search that way. My dad was from Ohio and like one of nine. And then my mom was from North Carolina and a little bit more well off. You know, my father's people were very poor, but all from this area in Wales and Swansea. And what I was going to say was that people don't realize, people maybe realize this, slavery wasn't just black, white, okay? There was people coming over from Ireland. Like you watch that movie Gangs in New York where they're trying to get people to enlist.
Yeah.
You know, and you got all the Irish, you know, and they're basically were joining them up, and it was kind of not okay what they were doing.
Pretty dirty.
Yeah, the conscription that was happening. So we could talk about history and American history all day long and about all these things. It is fucking interesting. It's super interesting.
That's why I wanted to study it. It was all this information, all this stuff, all this hidden information. Especially now we have the internet, you know.
God bless.
You can learn anything now.
You can find out some misinformation, but you can find out a lot, man. When we were kids, you had to like get out an encyclopedia.
For sure.
Think about it, that's crazy. Remember the guy? Did you have like the set of encyclopedia in your house growing up?
You know what? My pops.
The Britannica.
He had the Britannica. He had the whole. I miss those books.
Dude, they're amazing.
Like pull those off the shelf and just.
Dude, you go to one letter and you'd be like all the stuff that happened under O.
Yeah,
you know, be like, oh my God.
But were they like, you know? I mean, especially now. We have the internet now.
Yeah.
I mean, is it debunked or is it true? Like
no,
accurate?
I think there was a lot of research in Britannica. I think it was probably fairly legit. I think it came from like bibliographies at colleges. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping.
Yeah, because you know American history is all.
It's all messed up.
It's all fucked up.
Yeah, it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about church and everything, and that other thing that happened when I was young was my parents. They had those Time Life books, and my parents got us this book, Religions of the World. And that was the first time I'd ever read about Hinduism or all these different religions. And then when I went to college, we were talking about this, I took sociology. And in sociology, I had this book called Extraordinary Groups. And this book, I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was about like the Shakers and the Mennonites and the Amish. and all these different sects, like the Mormons, and all these different sects of religions in the beginning of the country, like in the 1700s, 1800s, all over the United States, and all these different groups, and most of them had to do with where they came from in Europe, and they brought some of their beliefs with them from their home country.
Yeah.
But then there was all kinds of other crazy stuff, like the Oneida community, and all of these very up in upstate New York, and all these interesting. They had a common thread, I hate to say, where it was sort of patriarchal, and the elder in the church might spend the night with the bride on her wedding night. You know,
I'll take a sip on that.
some kind of uncool stuff, you know, prima nocta stuff going on, like you see in Braveheart. You know, very, very like not kosher stuff.
That's happening now. I mean,
Dude, it's happening all over the world. But yeah, again, but he's in poli-sci. He's in college. I'm gonna try to bring us back around. He's
no, we there. We are there.
And he's realizing that music is calling to him, and he's realizing, how old were you? Like 20?
Oh, when I felt music.
Yeah, when you were in college, when you thought, hey man, I don't think I'm gonna stick with it.
You know what? I felt.
Was there a girl?
You know what? It was. That's a really good question. I felt like when I was really, really young, music was calling me. I had a really strong connection with music, especially with singing with my brothers and singing in the choir. And you almost like you feel this.
Dude,
this
I got to come meet the Spooner family, because I need to come down and hang out with the Spooner family.
We're going to make it happen.
I love y'all. I want to be around y'all.
We're going to have my parents cook
See, I
some
said
gumbo.
y'all. See, y'all's coming out now.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen. I feel that's a really powerful question, because you're bringing me back. You have no idea. My brain right now is like, I'm like teleporting.
It's hard to remember sometimes where you were.
But it's powerful, because it's something beautiful that you can go back and look and kind of, you know, talk about. I mean, kind of like reimagine, like kind of the things that you would have done, some of the things that kind of gave you the wisdom that you have today.
Yeah. Well, formative things happen along the journey, you know.
Yeah. But I would say I was maybe 10.
Oh, wow.
I was 10 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Or somewhere in that 10 to 12 years
Back
old.
in third grade.
Or even younger.
Apparently third grade.
Music was such an impact on us, because I mean, it was almost like this divine spirit. This divine spirit. We used to cry when we used to sing. Just go and sing, and tears would come. You can feel the spirit. And it was really real. It wasn't fake religion type of thing, but
spiritual.
It was spiritual, and we carried that along with us.
Well, they don't call it soul for no reason.
It's true.
You know,
it's true.
I mean, a lot of gospel.
Gospel.
Dude, when you look at people like a Dionne Warwick or even Whitney Houston and people like her niece, Dionne's niece, but you look at people like that, and their first exposure was to that singing in church and gospel, dude, and still. Dude, and
it's
I know
deep. It's still
dude, it's
deep. It's
and
so deep.
in my hometown, and when you go to a service and the choir really is belted, I mean, you will cry.
I'll bring
cry.
I'll bring you to a Kojic church, and like it's a different experience. A lot of Missy Elliott. I even think Pharrell.
That does not surprise me.
A lot of them are Kojic. They come from that background. Their background is Kojic.
Now you talk about someone who looks part Indian. That's Pharrell.
Yeah, I think
Pharrell very much looks Cherokee or Asian.
I think he's Asian.
Yeah, must be. He's been here. He's really nice.
Really?
Really, really, really nice guy. Super sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. Sweet guy. I find that for most people.
Yeah.
Nice to me.
But I think he has that background too. Timbaland, a whole bunch of like people that we
Singing
respect in the music business. They came from the church, you know.
Yep.
But my favorite artist growing up was the Winans.
I love that.
Yeah, the Winans. We used to always listen to like CC Winans and BB Winans, Marvin Winans, the Clark Sisters, Commission. A lot of them were like Derek Coley. All these names.
Who is the other big group of family singers around New Orleans? Brothers.
Neville?
Yeah, the Neville brothers, man. I was having a brain fade.
Grew up on the Neville brothers as well.
I was having a brain fade.
They're incredible.
Oh, unreal.
Incredible.
Dude, Ivan Neville.
Incredible musicians.
Great singers.
Yeah.
Great musicians.
Yeah.
So you're in college, right? And
yeah.
And you're making this turn. You're like, what? Did you think you could actually make a living with music? And what?
I started playing, I'm in this black culture, right? I'm in this black world. I'm singing R&B. had an R&B band.
I think of you as a rock guy.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I was in R&B at the time.
You're wearing a leather jacket.
Yeah, and at the time I was probably wearing, I don't know, like some type of vest or something, a T-shirt and like, a velour suit or something like
Oh,
that
I
with
love
Air
it, dude.
Force Ones.
Nice.
No, but I was in this urban group because coming out of gospel, R&B was of course
Natural.
the next natural thing. Marvin Gaye was like. And just
Smokey.
his music always impacted me, even from like sort of a young
Amazing.
age. And we wanted to do something in R&B, but I always knew I loved something different.
Dude, what
But I
about
wasn't-
Hendrix? Did Hendrix come into the
You
mix?
know, at the time I wasn't into Hendrix yet.
Ah.
Hendrix was introduced to me like a little bit after my R&B days, and I got into and from out of R&B, singing in R&B bands.
You talk about barriers that got broken by somebody musically going into rock and just mixing, blues and mixing all his stylistically, and also part Native American.
He's
and
Cherokee.
part Creole.
Yeah.
I
Creole,
think his mama was Creole. But interesting, I wonder.
But that's it's interesting
That
you
melting
bring
pot.
up Jimmy because I think it was very parallel. We call it sliding doors.
Oh.
Very similar, like life. Grew up in the church. Marvin the same way. Grew up in the church, and then also had that different mindset. I think it's hard to articulate because it's a thing you just know you have inside, and you like. I sing a bit different, and when I play the guitar, I choose the notes differently than what an R&B player is playing. Like he may be playing something different, I'm playing something different. But then when I got introduced to Jimmy, it was like,
it's like a light bulb goes off.
oh my fucking! I mean, it's like the Holy Grail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the B2s, and once I started really learning that stuff, that's really what pushed me towards like really songwriting. I wasn't really writing before until I started listening to them.
Such an innovator.
Yeah.
Also a veteran. God bless anyone who's a veteran, never served his country. But yeah, what an innovator he was, and then really kind of wild that he finds his spot really in the UK, because he was kind of in the UK. And when he first, it was called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, and he's around like the time of the Animals and the Stones and the Who and all that British invasion, all that stuff that's happening in the early 60s, mid 60s, in the UK, and here's this big, tall black guy who's playing guitar super crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They all, Isley. I mean, he backed up the Isleys. He played with Little Richard.
The Isley Brothers had a room here. In Studio 4, where Jeff Ellis's room, the Isley Brothers had a room here for a long time.
Another iconic band I love.
Oh, they love them. Amazing.
I love them.
Yeah.
But that bleed between like coming out of the gospel to R&B, right? And then Curtis Mayfield.
I mean, it's called psychedelic, but it's rock.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah,
That's just what
rock.
It is. They tried to segregate it.
I mean, you had Boogie Woogie, and you had, other stuff like that, like Jerry Lee Lewis and stuff like that, and then you had, but you had like the Everly Brothers and the Beatles.
Right.
And Hendrix is taking all of these influences, right, and making it his. But it's rock.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I think that was the bite, the venom that got into my system, and I took all of that, what we talked about.
Yeah.
My
Childhood.
grandfather, my parents, and church, and singing as a kid, and all of that, I put into the music I have now, and that's the reason why I'm doing rock and roll. I mean, of course, you know me as a rock and roll artist.
I do. I know you as a rock guy.
And
we are going to have, Emmett is going to play and sing for us. But one of the points of this is anybody that watches this, I want them to realize there's no one way to get here.
No.
Wherever here is at different stages in your life. Now, I am blessed and I love what I do. And I'm sort of on the other side of the arc, as it were, in my career. I mean, now, who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years. I'm going to figure out other stuff I love to do.
You're a legend.
You're a legend. But, every person you meet, every turn in the road, everything that causes you to make a decision or to move you in a certain direction, it there's a reason, you know, that the universe provides, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it when stuff is hard and when you're broke and when you're hungry, when things get tough. But chances are, if you're I believe this, that's my faith. If you're a good person and you're good to others, chances are that someone will be kind to you and help you along your journey.
I totally agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I try to live my life that way.
I try to.
It's not perfect. I don't have a perfect life, but
I also try to do that.
I try
too.
to respect everyone I meet and try to
And help people.
just help people.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard if you're busy, you know, to help people along. But most people I meet, especially musicians, I find that are that way, are giving. You know, musicians have no color boundary that I've ever seen, you know. And you look at someone like Frank Sinatra, and you know, they were giving him a hard time about Sammy Davis, and he's like, well, I'm not playing here if Sammy can't be here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you
Right.
do what you can do to make it better along the way and to help people open up their mind and
I
understand.
mean, it's universal. It's like if you close your eyes.
There's something I want you to check out,
Yeah.
and you would dig this. You would really dig this. It's called the Tammy Awards, TAMI.
Okay.
And it happened in 1964, and it was the Teen American Music Awards, and it's hosted by Jan and Dean, who were you know, pop idols at the time. Here in California, it's at the Santa Monica Civic. They skateboard into the freaking venue,
Cool.
right?
That's cool.
Opens up with Chuck Berry. Then you got Jerry and the Pacemakers from England.
Wow.
Then you got James Brown. And then the Stones had to follow James
That
Brown,
is
dude, after 3
crazy.
encores. But you've got white kids, black kids, old people, young people, the Supremes. You got all these people. 1964. No one says like, "Oh, this is an inclusive show." That didn't even need to be said.
Where did that come from?
It doesn't need to be said. You know, you
Yeah.
say it and you make it weird. You know,
Totally.
just
Right.
be musicians.
Right. Exactly.
Just be people.
Right.
For fuck's sake. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
So you will love this. This is 1964, and it is so inclusive. It is so, I use the word, but you get to see a natural thing that nobody made a big deal out. Now, there's girls dancing in bikinis, too, and boys dancing, all kinds of stuff that people would be like, oh, my God. But it's so awesome. And you can see the band in the background, kind of in the shadows, and it's like Glenn Campbell and part of the Wrecking Crew. We're sitting in Studio 3 right now at East West Studios, which is 6000 Sunset
Which
here
is
in
my
Los
favorite,
Angeles.
one of my favorite rooms.
And this is I always say this room is the smallest track room. I always say it's small but mighty. It's where the Beach Boys did the majority of the album Pet Sounds. And this room where the Wrecking Crew, people like Tommy Tedesco and Carol Kay and Hal Blaine. Hal Blaine, when he was alive, showed me where he set the drum kit up in the corner, in this tight corner over here with Carol Kay playing bass. And then the singers would be in the center of the room. Brian Wilson had his piano and his little sandbox. He liked to keep his feet in the sand when he played piano in front of the piano back in this corner. But this room is small and has no isolation. So back to that. We're just people and we're just musicians, okay?
I love it.
You would love this show. You can watch it on YouTube. It's unbelievable.
Please.
And the performances
We'll
are
pull it up.
TAMI, I think it's Tammy Awards. It's amazing. So, but you start playing rock, right? And now, were you able to get some gigs? And were you still living in Baton Rouge, or were you in Louisiana, New Orleans?
I got hooked up with these white boys in New Orleans.
Oh, I love it.
And so I was in Baton Rouge, and I started playing with these guys.
What was the
And
name
they
of
were-
that group?
We didn't have we were just like a hangout. It was like a group of guys hanging out at a house.
Oh, okay.
There's a buddy of mine named Tracy who was like this amazing drummer. Can't think of Tracy's last name, but he had a drum set in his house, a whole bunch of guitars. And I would go there all the time and just pick up guitars, and we would just play and just jam.
And
you
learn.
know? And learn.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was learning anything really. I just thought I was like, oh,
Having fun.
just having fun. But then when I thought about it, I was like, oh man, I love Pink Floyd.
Oh, dude, I love David Gilmour's playing.
Oh my God, we were just talking about that earlier today. Me and a friend of mine, David Gilmour, is like one of the best.
He turned 79 like 2 days ago.
Oh really?
Very young.
Incredible. Just the tones and the messaging and the storytelling in rock music also too is it's not just a rebellious thing. It's a language.
It's a learning thing, I think.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think
Yeah.
it's let's shine a light on this. Let's look at this thing that's different or good.
For sure.
Hopefully good, I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's interesting because, I got to work, when I first was a manager, I got to work with Buddy Guy. And I love Buddy Guy so much. I think he is an amazing, innovative guitar player and an innovative artist. And then Hendrix really loved Buddy Guy. And if you know that, you can see positive, good things that Hendrix took from Buddy, made his own. And because there's no harm in letting someone influence you if you like what they're doing. It's
Not at all.
It's not plagiarism if you like what someone does and you pick it up. I always tell the young people here when they're learning to be recording engineers, I'm like, look, when you're an assistant or a runner, you're watching how that first engineer is making mic selections and what he's doing, and you incorporate all of these things you learn and create your own style for recording engineering, because it's similar to being a musician. You record, you figure out like, oh, he did that to make that happen. Similar when
Right.
you're a player.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're looking at this amp, or you're looking at Jimmy with the way that Jimmy played with the whammy bar and how he,
Yeah.
innovator with the bar. Let's
Yeah,
just
even
say that.
Jimmy adopted certain things from different people.
Yeah,
and just
Jimmy
put it
adopted
together.
stuff from Buddy Guy.
Elvis was another one,
Yeah, Elvis, big time, and all these amazing musicians, and so you're playing with these guys, and you're realizing like, hey, I'm loving this. And
I mean, like I said before, after I heard Jimmy, and then I got hip to the Beatles,
oh yeah.
it was over. It was like, this is what I want to do.
And by the way, when
Yeah.
people say Stones versus Beatles, I'm both.
You know what?
And
yeah,
there is no record player on the
I'm
desert
always,
island.
Yeah, I'm always on the fence because I'm a Stones. I
I'm a
love the
Stones
Stones.
fan.
I love the Stones as well. I like the songwriting of the Beatles.
Oh, absolutely.
They.
Like Lennon and McCartney and George Harrison and Ringo, all songwriters. George, you listen to All Things Must Pass, that George's first, double album after
Yeah,
the Beatles.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I met
dude.
Paul too. He's such a sweet guy.
Super sweet. I've met Ringo, I met Paul, and I did meet George many, many, many years ago, briefly. But I never met, John was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, John was gone before I got a chance
Yeah, I
to
met
meet him.
Ringo too through Bruce.
Ringo's sweet. Ringo did vocals in here.
Yeah,
about
through
a year
Bruce
ago.
Sugar. I met.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
Great. Bruce Sugar. Shout out to Bruce Sugar.
Yeah,
Great
what's
engineer.
up, Bruce? Yeah.
Sugarman.
Yeah, Sugarman.
But well, I want you to play and I want you to sing for the podcast. But I don't know. We need to get to the point where, because I could talk to you for like days.
No, go for
We
it.
need to get to the point where, when, and how did you decide that you could possibly survive, that you could eat, that you could pay rent? Not that any of us are paying rent.
I'm
Yeah.
still surviving.
Yeah.
I feel, it's kind of.
I love your string tie, by the way. It's beautiful.
Oh, you like this? This is my
Beautiful.
it's a Zuni
Bolero.
tribe.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Speaking of Native American,
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
this is the older one.
That's beautiful.
But it's kind of convoluted because I realize, okay, I have an appearance. I'm in the style. In music, you can't just be just an artist. You can't just be a musician. You have to create the character.
This persona. Yep.
You have to create the persona. Look at Mick Jagger. Look at
Oh, yeah.
Prince, Jimi
sure.
Hendrix, David Bowie.
Yeah.
And when the list goes on, Elton
Yeah.
John. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys that understood the storytelling of not just doing the music. It was how you present yourself.
Showman.
It's showman. Is
Yeah.
when you walk in the room, how people respond to you when you walk in the room. What do you bring into the room? You know what I'm
You
saying?
bring a good vibe.
I try to be. I study a lot of the greats. MJ, Michael Jackson, Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
They all understood.
Charismatic.
They-
You are naturally charismatic.
Thank
I would
you.
say that for
Thank
sure.
you, thank you.
For
I got
sure.
that from my father. He kind of like
He's
dropped
charismatic,
that.
man?
Yeah, he's very charismatic. I mean, he would talk to anyone. The homeless man,
I love that.
the fireman, the taxi, the whoever, the Uber driver.
I love that.
He talks to everyone. The lady in the grocery store, and I used to always look at him like, "Oh, Dad, come on, let's go."
Charming.
And he's so charming and with no fear, because that's
Except you don't want to go to Mexico.
that's another conversation. Yeah. Not right now.
But we respect you, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
cool with that,
yeah,
Emmett.
yeah.
Emmett Senior.
Exactly.
You do you.
No, he's like, no traveling outside of the States right now.
Yeah. My husband's the same.
But I got a lot of that from him, and I see that in all of these guys I mentioned, all these icons.
Well, you call them stars.
Yeah.
Called stars
They
for a
super
reason.
duper stars. Those guys. David Bowie, Michael Jackson.
I'm a huge,
Come on.
huge fan. I went to the record store about a week or so ago.
Yeah?
And oddly, what I bought was Revolver, Rubber Soul,
Oh.
early Beatles, and I bought Ziggy Stardust.
Oh,
Yeah, those are the 3 albums that I bought.
yeah. I got those on vinyl too.
Yeah, on vinyl. Yeah, and I was like,
They
I'm like,
feel better, right? On
oh, they
vinyl.
it sounds better for sure. For sure, sounds better.
love it.
I mean, the only thing is you got to get up and flip it over. But I'm just lazy. Okay.
Right.
But no, it sounds amazing. And these were pressed in Germany or something. Not Deutsche Grammophon, but some German pressing in Germany. And it's hard to get a mono recording of, but if you can, like a lot of stuff's been digitally remastered. And a lot of it's amazing. A lot
Right.
of it's come out in stereo.
Right.
But stuff that was originally recorded in mono in the room we're sitting in, the Mamas and the Papas did California Dreamin', Monday. Scott McKenzie did Are You Going to San Francisco, or whatever the name of the song is, When You're Going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Those were all mono. And when you listen to these mono recordings, they're super clear. They're super loud. I mean, loud, not loud, bad, but they're super clear. You can hear all the instruments, and you're thinking, man, this is mono. How
Right.
did they do that? And they did it with the balance of the microphones, and they did it with the the performance is the performance.
Yeah, just like the original Beatles stuff is
Yeah.
unreal. Like
It's not-
everything's like pan, the drums are here, and then
Yeah.
the background vocals are here, and then you hear the instruments linear.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
But it's mixed down to one. It's
right.
mixed
It's
down
mixed
to
down
mono.
to one.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And I'm obviously I like stereo. I grew up with stereo.
Right.
But and we have 2 ears. But yeah, I listen to that mono stuff, and then you listen to other stuff that's muffled and quieter and doesn't sound as good with
Right.
all this modern technology. And remember, technology is a tool. Okay, don't suck the soul out of the song using your technology. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But how great it sounds, and it has to do with the acoustics of this room, the microphone, and the engineer behind the desk. Obviously, it's the song. Obviously, it's the artist. And without the artist, without the song, but without the engineer, no one would ever capture it. You would
Totally.
never hear it if the engineer didn't
I had to
record
learn.
it.
I've learned the hard way.
So I'm a champion of engineers.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
You're cool.
Yeah.
You're cool.
I mean, early on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, early on.
Oh,
yeah.
and someone's talent as an
yeah,
engineer?
well, yeah, the engineering is so important.
Dude, it's
Right.
amazing. It's major. So, I mean, we could just talk for hours and hours. Maybe we should let you play a song.
But I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah,
But
sorry.
I felt like when I moved to LA,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
so all of that, and that was beautiful. Like even recapping on my history and the
Yeah.
origin was beautiful. I decided to move to LA. I moved to LA, and I meet some of the old legends, and I met them at like random parties, like random events. I met a gentleman named Val Garay.
Oh, I love Val. What a great engineer producer.
He's like a papa. I call him Papa.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, I started hanging out with him. He would come to the studio. Matter of fact, he came here a couple times, a couple of my sessions.
Yeah. He worked at a Record One a lot, which is where Dr. Dre is
right.
now.
Yeah, I think he also owned it too
Yeah,
at
he
one
did.
time.
He
yeah,
did own it.
And I learned a lot from him. I sang on some records he was working on with different various artists, and
Very cool.
and then I started hanging out with Bobby Carpenter from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Oh,
I started
wow.
hanging out with these older white legends. And like even
That's
like
cool.
Bruce,
Yeah, Bruce
who
Sugar.
I think you introduced me to Bruce actually.
Oh,
Do you
did I?
remember?
Oh, nice. No. But I'm
You
glad
actually
I did.
introduced me. You said you should meet Bruce, and that's how I met Vinnie Colaiuta. That's
Oh,
how I met
one of the
Steve
finest
Lukather,
drummers alive.
and a
amazing.
whole bunch of guys started playing on my records, and I started to really kind of learn. Like I've always felt like I was a songwriter, but it's one thing when you like. When you can minimize the lyrics and make it into a story and really make it make sense
Yep.
and not just be just a whole bunch of words, right?
Yep.
I mean, now you have like the top line writers and stuff like that. But it's different when you write a song from the heart
From
and
your-
it
yeah.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned a lot from those guys.
It's like your
first coming
babies.
into LA.
You're exposing your
Yeah,
babies to the
yeah,
public.
yeah.
It's very vulnerable
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
to
yeah.
be a musician and to do that and to show your heart.
I credit those guys a little bit. They imparted a lot when I first got
Confidence.
to LA. Yeah, just in my songwriting and just my ability to make a song, to like finish out a song.
Wow.
And
I love that.
yeah, and then I came here.
Everybody you meet. How did you end up coming here? How did I meet you?
That's so funny. There was a guy, and he would love that I'm giving him a shout out. He's kind of a legend. His name is Chris Bragg, and he's I think he's a tour manager. He
Okay.
tour managed like I think he's on tour right now with Mary J. Blige.
Okay.
He's been on tour with a whole bunch of like the urban world.
Okay.
A lot of old classic, like singers.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of like the Luther Vandross
Oh,
days.
got you. Yeah.
And
We didn't talk about Lou Rawls. We got to shout out to
oh
Lou
man,
Rawls.
Lou Rawls, yeah. But you see the old and the new. It has to some kind of way integrate. That's how you learn. The old,
Yeah.
they teach the new. And I met him through a relative here in L.A.
Oh.
Just at a. It was like, oh, you should meet my friend. You should meet my cousin Emmett. He's a great singer. He was like,
nice.
oh. And we connected, and he said, oh, let's stop by East West Studio for a tour.
Oh, nice.
And that's how we initially met.
Oh, wow.
It was me
I
and
don't
another
remember
artist.
this, and I feel bad. I
Yeah,
just
it was me and another artist came in together, and we did a tour. And of course, we were blown away by the facility, and we were like, "Oh my God!" And the history and everything.
And then
I
we
was like-
became friends.
Then we became friends, and then some kind of way I found some money, and then I came.
God bless.
Yeah.
God bless. Well, and I'm so glad that you did because we need support just like musicians need support. You know,
Yeah.
we won't be here without people helping us stay here. But I want to, what are you doing now? I know you're writing, I know you're playing. What's your plan? Like, what's your immediate plan?
I'm in New York City right now. I'm working on a rock record with a couple of amazing musicians. A guy named Stephen Williams, who's an incredible drummer. Used to play with Sade.
Nice. I love Sade.
Yeah, he's.
Your love is king, I'm telling you. You want
Those
you
records
take a
are
woman
amazing.
out on a date,
Yeah.
and you want to close the deal, play Sade.
He toured with her, and
He's amazing.
He's incredible. He plays everything: folk, rock, country.
Wait, LA
And-
to New York. Easy transition?
Yeah. You know what? I'm sort of bi-coastal. I'm
gonna say,
I'm like
you
in
are.
between LA and New York, but my flag is in the ground in New York right now. It's a vibe. And
very cool.
And I just kind of been moving around
like the
on the
energy in New York.
scene. Yeah, it's really cool, you know. And
Supportive. I think.
It's very supportive, and also too there's an energy. There's just an energy there right now.
Did you do an Apple commercial too?
I did an Apple commercial.
What was that for?
That was for the new Logic Pro
Okay.
ad, and for the Final Cut Pro.
Oh, gotcha.
Got a call from a friend, and it was like, "Hey, can you send me a video?" I sent the video, and then I was on the phone with Apple.
Nice.
Did Apple? That was super fun, and I've been doing a lot of brand shooting with brands and stuff like
Good.
that. Modeling a little bit.
Make money to support the creative. I mean, it's still creative. Obviously, it's very creative, but
But that was your question about
Yeah.
how am I surviving? So I have to I always say, as an artist, you can't just do one thing. You have to optimize all of your assets. You got to be, you
Yeah,
gotta have more irons in the fire.
people out there, with all the streaming and all the stuff that's happening and an unfair usage of artist material without compensating them, that needs to stop. And
That needs to
hopefully
stop.
That will.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't not perform. You can't not sing, and you can't not play.
Definitely. And so I've stayed true to that. And I've also, like I was mentioning before, the working with different brands and because you have to be a brand now.
Yep.
You can't
well,
just
you
be
are
a
brand.
musician.
The persona is
yeah,
a
the
brand.
persona. Emmett Skyy is a brand, and I'm actually looking for Larry Jackson over at Gamma. That's who I'm looking for because I always watch interviews on him. I always hear great things about him. He
I
used
don't
to
know
he used to
him.
work at Apple. He used to be the the head over at Apple.
Yeah,
and
I
he
don't know
left.
him.
Yeah. You should.
If I knew him, I would introduce you.
Look him up, Larry Jackson. He's
got
like the #1 player in the business right now.
Wow.
And I just love his mindset. When I hear him in interviews, I always hear, like, he has actually now, his company is called Gamma.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a portfolio company versus a label. They're
Oh.
kind of like a label, but they do films, they do music, they do fashion.
And they break artists,
Yeah.
creators,
Yeah.
in different
Yeah.
genre. I mean, not genre, in different formats.
In different
media,
formats.
different
Different
media.
media,
Yeah.
Whether you're artist, if you like for instance, they have Usher there. You
Oh,
know, Snoop is over there.
Oh,
you
cool.
know,
He's the sweetest too.
yeah, there's a slew of
Sweetheart.
artists they're working with, but I don't really see a lot of rock and roll artists there.
Maybe you can be that guy.
Maybe.
Lay Jackson?
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Right. Exactly.
Gamma needs to pick up Emmett Skyy.
For sure.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
If you need to diversify over there.
But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people with the same mindset that I have, and can help take that to the next level. I'm shooting films right now. I just did like a little short 4-minute film just about me, you know, about my music and about kind of where I come from, my experience, my love for the art and my love for rock and roll.
Well, I keep promising you're going to play.
Yeah.
You gonna pick it up?
Yeah.
You give us something?
I'll give you like a little
Give a
taste.
couple minutes,
Yeah,
give a little taste.
little taste, you know?
Now, if people want to hear your music, can they find it? Where can they find it?
Yes. You know what? The best way to listen to me is my Instagram page. That's where you can follow little things.
Is it Emmett Skyy?
It's Emmett Skyy, EMMETT SKYY, at Instagram.
There you go.
Right?
Emmett Skyy. Check it out. You won't be sorry. And you're going to hear some right now. That's a beautiful guitar. Look at this gorgeous guitar.
Yeah, thanks to
Look at the inlay.
Yeah, thanks to my buddy Peter over at Gibson here in LA.
Thank you, Nate. Is this a new song?
It's fairly new. It's actually going to be. It's going to be on my new record. But big shout out to Gibson. They're amazing. This is a beautiful J200
Gorgeous.
that they provided for me for a show I'm doing in the desert tomorrow. Actually.
You're going to be out at...
Yeah, I'm going to be out behind Pappy and Harriet's. Is a place called Red Dog, but it's for the High Desert Fair.
This
art
podcast
show.
doesn't come out for a couple months, but they'll have another one next year.
Yep, exactly. But they would know it. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Candace, for having me.
Dude, thank you for coming.
This is a song I co-wrote with a friend of mine here in LA. His name is Blue. We wrote this song. It's called I Dare You. Dip your toe in the water, throw a wish in the well. When the flames getting hotter, will you walk through hell? Will you run away, boy? Will you hold your ground? When the waves are rising, are you diving in or out? You can see the flood that's a-coming. You can feel the rain falling down. 2 by 2, gonna stand until we swim or drown.
Dude, that is so good. That is a great song.
Thank you.
That is a great song.
Thank you so much.
You know, for some reason, because of the recent fires here in LA, it made me think, it's not about that, but it just made me think that'd be a great fundraiser song.
Yeah. Because it's really,
it's really,
yeah.
Are you going to make your stand? Are you going to?
Yeah. And also, too, you know, there's a lyric that's saying, like, I will hold your hand, brother, until the past recedes.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know, it's like, white, black, Asian,
None of it
all
matters.
these doesn't matter.
Male, female,
male, female,
young, old.
old
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You know.
Yeah. We
Poor,
don't need
rich.
We don't need any isms except
Yeah,
creatism.
yeah. But that's where the music is coming from. On this album, it's gonna have a lot of this
Dude,
stuff
that
here
is
too.
deeply soulful. You have got
Thank you.
such a great voice,
Thank
dude,
you.
and such a great vibe.
Thank you so much.
Well, Emmett, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm just so grateful to you for coming today and for talking, and hopefully, people will encourage people to follow their heart, and just create
For
and
sure.
be better.
This has been really beautiful.
I love you. So
I love
much.
you so much too.
He always brings me the
Thank
best
you.
coffee too. I love it. He brings me that Cafe de Monde
Oh,
coffee.
it's the
You
best.
can't get that anywhere else.
It's the best.
This is the advertisement for Cafe de
Only
Monde
for
coffee.
you. Only for you.
Yeah, don't be all asking him for it now. Thank you, Emmett. God bless you. God bless your family. I cannot wait to meet the Spooner clan. That's a goal. I'm gonna meet
It's
the
happening.
Spooner clan.
It's happening. It's happening.
And your brothers and your sisters. We wish them continued success. Love to your parents and everybody that crosses our paths. We
Thank
just
you.
want everyone. We want everyone to do what they want to do and be happy doing it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.